Hey guys, so today we'll be discussing the Leetcode question colored cells problem. Now, in this given question, we need to find the number of colored cells after n iterations. So let's take an example of this grid array. In this grid array, we have for the iteration 1 n equal to 1, we have one center cell and the upper half cells and the lower half cells will be 0. So the eventual summary is that the center cell is 1, the upper half cells are 0, the lower half cells are 0, and the total sum will be 1. Let's move ahead to the next iteration. For n is equal to 2, eventually what will happen is that, let's write it down. There will be one central cell and the upper half cells, row 1 will contain 3 cells as you can see over here. For the lower half, there will be only one cell, right, which will fill the row 1. So eventual summary is that the center cell is 1, the upper half cells are 3, and the lower half cells are 1, right? So eventual sum will be 3 plus 1 plus 1, 5. Now, let's go ahead to the next iteration. In the next iteration, for n equal to 3, what we can see is that, again, we have a center cell, right? And upper half cells with row 1, 2, and 3. The pattern is 3, 5. Now, for the lower half, we can see that this row 1 is 1 cell and the row 2 is 3 cells. So the pattern is 1, 3, right? So when you write the eventual sum, that is center cell is 1, upper half cell is 3 plus 5, and the lower half cell is 1 plus 3. So the total sum will be 13. Now let's keep on expanding. Let's see what will happen for the iteration n is equal to 4. Yep. So n is equal to 4 will start with the center. And the upper half cells will be row 1 contain 3 cells, row 2 will contain 5 cells, and row 3 will contain 7 cells. The pattern is 3, 5, and 7. Lower half, row 1 is 1 cells, row 2 is 3 cells, row 3 is 5 cells. So eventual pattern is 1, 3, 5, right? Now, when you write the summary for this again, the center cell is 1, the upper half cells are 15, and the lower half cells are 9. So the total sum will be 25. Now, let's move to the final iteration, that is n is equal to 5. Now, for this iteration, we'll start with the center cell. The center cell, 1 cell, and the upper half cells are 3 cell, 5 cell, 7 cell, and finally 9 cells, right? So the pattern is 3, 5, 7, 9. Now, the pattern for the lower half will be 1 cell, 3 cell, 5 cell, right? And 7 cell. So the eventual pattern will be 1, 3, 5, 7. So when we write the total summary for this thing, the center cells will be 1, the upper half cells will equate to 24, and the lower half cells will be equal to 16. Now total will be 41. Now let's move ahead and see how we can derive this given formula, right? Now to derive this formula, what we need to understand is the pattern. Now when we have visualized the pattern, we have clearly seen that the upper half cells were following some pattern, right? So 2 cells, 1 cell, level 2 will contain 1 cell, level 3 will contain 3 cells, and level 4 will contain 5 cells. So the eventual pattern is 1, 3, 5, right? So when you do the sum, you will eventually get n square, right? For the upper. Now for the lower half, this will be nothing because lower half contains one row which is eventually less than compared to the upper half, right? So when you do the final sum, that is the sum of the final total square which will be there at the end, will be nothing but the summation of the upper half and the lower half, right? Because the upper half will equal to n square for the sum 1, 3, 5, 7, and upper half also include the center. That's why we have made the sum. So total cell will be upper half plus lower half, that is n square plus n minus 1 square. So when we write it down, this formula will be equal to 2n square minus 2n plus 1. And the total cell will be as follows: 1 plus 2n into n minus 1, right? So hope you like this video. Thank you.